Welcome to Reformed Thinking. Usually when we talk about a medical diagnosis, there's a clear expectation of precision.
Right. You think of it like engineering, almost.
Yeah, you break your arm, you go to the hospital, and the x-ray shows that jagged white line right on the screen.
It is a binary situation.
Yeah.
It is either broken or it is not broken.
It is clean. The doctor points to it and says, well, there it is, broken. The solution is clear because the problem is isolated.
And that visual evidence is comforting. I mean, we want our problems to be visible like that.
We really do. We like the physical world because it provides undeniable visual evidence of our condition.
We want things easily categorized so we can just, apply a straightforward remedy and move on with our lives.
But then you step into the world of evaluating how we spend our lives. You try to evaluate the condition of your soul and the daily habits you have built.
And suddenly that x-ray machine is broken.
Yeah, totally broken. We are looking at a diagnostic landscape of our own existence that is, well, incredibly murky.
Extremely mucky. It is hard to pin down.
So we are bringing you a deep dive today into a single, highly focused source text. We are looking at Jonathan Edwards' sermon, Time is Exceedingly Precious.
Such a weighty piece of work.
It really is. This is a message he preached based on the Apostle Paul's letter to the Ephesians, specifically chapter 5, verse 16.
Right, the passage that talks about redeeming the time because the days are evil.
Okay, let's unpack this. The core concept here is this idea of redeeming time. Edwards defines this straight from the text as buying it up.
Buying it out of the market, essentially.
Yes, and he says we do this through circumspection. That means cautious observation.
It requires considering all the circumstances before acting.
It is a very deliberate, almost aggressive posture toward the clock. You are not just letting the hours pass, you are actively purchasing them.
And the gravity of this text, it cannot be overstated.
No, it really cannot.
Because when we hear the phrase redeeming the time today, our modern minds instantly filter it through the lens of a life hack.
Oh, sure. We think of productivity apps.
Right, we assume Edwards is giving us an early version of a productivity seminar. We think he is going to teach us how to optimize our calendar so we can squeeze in another workout or, answer emails faster.
Or get ahead in our careers, like time blocking.
Yeah, time blocking.
Yeah.
But that is not what he's doing at all. He is laying out a stark cosmic economy.
A cosmic economy. I like that phrasing.
In his view, every ticking second dictates an eternal state. The mission for us today is to understand why we squander our most finite resource and how Edwards argues for its supreme value.
We really need to look at the sheer weight he places on seconds and minutes.
Because it completely upends our normal way of operating. It changes everything.
I think we should start with how Edwards builds his case for the value of time. He does not begin with abstract theology at all.
No, he grounds it in something incredibly relatable, human welfare.
Right. He sets up this rule that time's value is proportionate to its role in securing our welfare.
He says people habitually set the highest value on things that secure their interests. It is just human nature.
It is. And he points out that if we fail to improve our time, which he defines as using it to the best advantage, we risk poverty and disgrace in this physical world.
Which makes sense. If you sleep all day and refuse to work, you will go hungry.
The physical world punishes wasted time very clearly.
But that is just the baseline for him. That is just the visible consequence.
Yeah. More pressingly, our entire state through eternity depends on how we manage this resource.
And that is the crux of the economics of eternity he is building here. He is looking at human behavior and noting that we are very pragmatic creatures.
We naturally gravitate toward prioritizing whatever keeps us safe, comfortable, and well-fed.
Right. We protect our assets.
Yeah.
Edwards uses that natural human inclination as a stepping stone.
He acknowledges that failing to use time well in the physical world leads to poverty.
But then he scales that concept up to infinity. He wants us to apply the exact same pragmatic logic we use for our earthly bank accounts to our eternal standing before God.
He uses this financial analogy that really makes the abstract concept concrete. He talks about gold and silver.
Yes, he notes that men esteem gold and silver. People will cross oceans, dig mines, risk their lives for these metals.
But those metals have absolutely no intrinsic worth.
None at all. You cannot eat gold. It does not keep you warm at night.
It is a soft metal with very few practical applications in daily survival, really.
Gold and silver are only valuable because society agrees they are valuable. They're valuable because they provide an opportunity to avoid evil or possess good.
Right. If you are holding a massive block of gold on a desert island with no one to trade with.
It's completely useless to you. You might as well have a rock.
Well, absolutely. Its value is entirely derived from its utility as an exchange mechanism to secure your welfare.
Maybe you use it to buy a ship passage to save your life. And Edwards argues that time operates on the same economic principle, but on a cosmic scale.
Time itself is just a mechanism of exchange.
Right. It is the currency we use to secure our eternal welfare.
I was thinking about a modern equivalent to this. We obsessively monitor our bank accounts to prevent fraud.
Oh, definitely. We all have those alerts set up.
We set up alerts on our phones so that if $1 is spent without our authorization, we know instantly. We protect that currency fiercely.
If a credit card gets stolen and $100 goes missing, we make phone calls, we freeze accounts.
We dispute the charges. We go to war for that lost money.
We do.
Yet we leave the vault door wide open regarding our daily schedule. We let people, distractions, trivialities steal hours from us without a second thought.
That is such a conviction right there.
So I have to ask you, if time is the only currency that allows us to escape infinite evil and attain infinite good, which Edwards defines as everlasting misery versus everlasting blessedness, why is human nature wired to value $1 over a day?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, earthly welfare, like avoiding poverty or protecting that bank account, it provides immediate, tangible feedback.
Right.
If someone steals $100 from you, you feel the loss today. You might not be able to buy groceries this week.
You might miss a rent payment. The pain is immediate and undeniable.
Eternity, on the other hand, feels abstract to the human mind. The feedback loop is severely delayed.
Psychologists refer to this as temporal discounting, right?
Yes, temporal discounting. We inherently prefer a smaller, immediate reward over a much larger, delayed reward.
And we also fear an immediate minor consequence far more than a massive delayed consequence.
However, Edwards argues, the literal math of infinity makes time infinitely more precious than any physical substance.
If a person can save their physical life with money, they value that money highly.
They will give everything they own to cure eternal disease. Every penny.
How much more, then, should we value the time that allows us to secure an eternal state?
The math dictates that an endless duration of existence requires our utmost attention right now, yet our senses deceive us into prioritizing the immediate and the temporary.
We trust what we can see over what God has declared to be true.
Absolutely. We are very sensory-driven creatures.
And if time is a currency, its value skyrockets, not just because of what it buys, but because of its severely limited supply.
Scarcity. Extreme scarcity.
Yes, that brings us to this concept of extreme scarcity. Edwards says time is very short, and that extreme scarcity drives up value exponentially.
We see this in basic economics. When a resource becomes scarce, the price goes up.
He brings in a striking historical parallel from the Old Testament to illustrate this.
He does. He points to 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 25.
The historical account of the siege of Samaria by the Syrian army?
Right. And during this military siege, the city was entirely cut off from all outside resources. No trade was allowed in or out.
The food supply dwindled to nothing. People were desperate.
Edwards notes that during this siege, the economic values of everyday items were completely upended.
Provisions became so scarce that a donkey's head sold for 80 pieces of silver.
And a fraction of dove's dung sold for 5 pieces of silver.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Think about the grotesque nature of that siege.
It is horrific to even imagine.
A donkey was considered an unclean animal in ancient Israelite culture.
Yeah.
You were not supposed to eat it even on a good day.
Let alone the head of it.
Right. The head of a donkey is the least fleshy, most undesirable part of an already undesirable animal. Yet people paid an absolute fortune for it.
And dove's dung. I mean, people will trade vast fortunes for literal garbage if their physical survival is threatened.
The instinct to survive overrides all previous concepts of worth, dignity, and religious custom.
You have people trading life savings for a handful of refuse just to live one more day.
Yet for spiritual survival, where Edwards reminds us whole eternity depends upon it, we act as if we have an endless surplus of days.
We're not treating time with the desperation of a starving person in a besieged city, even though the stakes are infinitely higher.
That contrast is highly intentional on his part, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. He wants to shock the spiritual system of his listeners. He is asking a very logical question.
Which is?
If men will prize garbage to extend their physical lives by a few miserable days during a brutal siege, How should they prize the days that determine an endless, unchanging eternity?
It is a staggering comparison when you really let it sink in.
He is highlighting a massive cognitive dissonance in how we evaluate our situation. We are besieged by our own mortality, yet we act like we live in a land of plenty.
We act like billionaires with time, but we are actually destitute.
Spot on. And to further establish this scarcity, he brings in a rapid-fire sequence of biblical metaphors describing life's brevity.
He wants to prove just how short the supply of time actually is.
Yes, the imagery he pulls from Scripture is relentless.
He pulls from James chapter 4, describing life as a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away.
You think about breath on a cold winter morning. You exhale, you see the mist hang in the air for a fraction of a second.
And then it is gone without a trace. It dissipates into nothing.
That is our entire lifespan in the eyes of eternity. Just a momentary mist.
He also pulls heavily from the book of Job, doesn't he?
He does. He uses the image of days being swifter than a courier or a post.
Right. In the ancient world, the postal system relied on riders galloping at top speed on fresh horses.
They would ride until the horse was exhausted, immediately switch to a fresh horse at a relay station, and keep sprinting.
It was the fastest moving thing in the ancient world. They didn't stop for anything.
Then he mentions swift ships. A ship cutting through the water with the wind in its sails experiences very little friction to slow it down.
It glides relentlessly forward. There are no brakes on a sailing ship.
And perhaps the most visceral image he uses is an eagle hastening to its prey.
Think about the physics of that for a moment. When an eagle spots its target on the ground, it does not casually float down.
No, it folds its wings back and goes into a stoop, essentially a free fall.
It drops from the sky at incredible speed, sometimes reaching 200 miles per hour. It plummets with aggressive, targeted velocity.
Edwards applies all these metaphors to our lifespan. We are not casually strolling toward eternity. We are plummeting toward it.
Okay, I have to push back a little on the psychological weight of this realization.
Go ahead.
Edwards says the work we must do to prepare for eternity is a work of great difficulty and labor. It is not an easy task.
Right, it requires immense effort.
If the timeline is a mere moment to eternity and the labor is intense, does this scarcity induce panic or does it clarify our focus?
That is a very valid question.
Because I know my own psychology. If I am told I have a massive, difficult project to complete at work, and my boss tells me I only have 5 minutes to do it, my instinct might be to freeze.
For sure, the deer in the headlights reaction.
I might panic, throw my hands up, and not even try, rather than working steadily. How does Edwards expect people to function under the weight of an eagle plummeting toward the ground?
Recognizing scarcity is meant to strip away frivolity. It is not intended to paralyze you, but to crystallize your priorities.
So it acts as a filter.
Exactly. If you realize you literally have none to spare, as he puts it, you stop wasting energy on things that do not contribute to the final goal.
The difficulty of the labor combined with the shortness of the time means every action must be highly intentional.
The panic you were describing usually sets in when a person refuses to engage with the work until the very last second.
Like cramming for an exam.
Right. But for the person who is circumspect, the person who is actively buying up the time, as Ephesians commands, this realization produces a highly focused, deliberate way of living.
It filters out the noise. When you know time is scarce, you do not spend an hour debating trivial things. You focus entirely on what is necessary.
It acts as a massive pruning mechanism for your daily choices.
If the time is a vapor, you cannot afford to invest it in things that are also vapors.
If you are building a house and you know you only have 10 bricks, you do not build a decorative wall.
You build the foundation. You focus on the absolute necessities.
Precisely. And while the brevity of life is frightening enough on its own, the true terror in Edwards' argument lies in the next point.
Oh boy, it gets worse.
It does. It is not just that the time is short. The real danger is that the actual expiration date is completely hidden from us.
Right. We know our time is short, but we have absolutely no idea how short.
We are operating completely in the dark regarding our own deadline.
That uncertainty principle he outlines is profoundly unsettling. We do not know if we have 20 years, a month, a week, or a single day left.
We are uncertain every single day whether that particular day will be our last.
Or if we even get to finish the current day. We go to sleep, assuming we will wake up, but we have no contractual guarantee that we will.
He looks at the current state of the world to prove this reality.
He observes that multitudes presently enjoy perfect health and see absolutely zero signs of approaching death.
They feel fine. They eat well, they exercise, their doctors would run tests and say they are in peak physical condition.
Yet, statistically and providentially, many of these same healthy individuals will die next month, next week, tomorrow, or even tonight.
A sudden accident, a massive heart attack, a natural disaster.
Edwards lived in a time before modern medicine where sudden death was perhaps more visible, but the statistics remain true today.
Perfect health in the morning is no guarantee of survival by the evening.
I see this collective delusion in society all the time. We look at our neighbors, and because they are walking around healthy, we assume we both have decades left.
We hide death in modern society. It happens in hospitals behind closed doors.
So we maintain this illusion of permanence. It is like standing in a massive room where trapdoors are randomly opening up and swallowing people.
That is a terrifying image.
But because the person standing directly next to you has not fallen through yet, you assume the floor under your own feet is totally solid.
You assume you have figured out where the safe zones are.
So why is it that even those who acknowledge this reality conceptually still fail to prize their time practically?
We all know logically that people die unexpectedly, yet we live like we are completely immune to the trapdoors. What's fascinating here is that neither the individual nor their neighbors have any specialized knowledge predicting who will be taken out of the world next.
No one receives an advance warning. There is no email from management saying your time is up.
Edwards argues that if a man knew he had exactly 3 days left to live, he would prize his time intensely.
Every second would be meticulously planned. He would make things right with his family.
He would cry out to God. He would ignore all trivial entertainment. Nobody binges a TV show if they have 3 days left.
A wise person, according to Edwards, adopts that exact posture right now, recognizing that human experience verifies sudden ends constantly.
The reason we fail to prize time practically is that we rely entirely on our immediate physical senses over objective reality.
Because we feel healthy today, we project that feeling of health onto tomorrow.
We let our subjective feelings of invincibility override the objective truth of human mortality.
Edwards is demanding that his listeners let reason, observation, and scripture override their subjective feelings.
We lean heavily on the assumption of a guaranteed tomorrow.
But an uncertain deadline is stressful enough. What makes the loss of time truly devastating in his framework is its absolute finality.
Yes, we move from the illusion of a guaranteed tomorrow into the unforgiving economy of lost minutes.
He emphasizes that time is entirely irrecoverable. Once passed, no amount of pain or cost will recover it.
He contrasts time with earthly possessions very effectively in this section.
He explains that if a person is overseen, an older term, which means acting hastily or carelessly in a business jargon.
Right, and they barter away something highly valuable for practically nothing, there is usually a remedy.
If you make a terrible financial decision, you can often repent of the bad deal.
You can go back to the person, pay a financial penalty, and obtain a release to recover what was lost.
The physical world often allows for do-overs, even if those do-overs are expensive and painful.
You can declare bankruptcy. If a man loses his entire worldly substance, if his business fails and he goes completely bankrupt, it is a disaster, sure.
But he might work hard for another 10 years and build another estate just as good or perhaps even better. He can start over.
The clock, however, has this brutal linear nature. When time is gone, the loss is absolute.
There is no bankruptcy court for wasted years.
None at all.
I like to imagine time as a relentless conveyor belt offering you a specific moment.
I like that analogy.
You are standing next to this belt, and a box representing right now comes down the line. You must choose immediately to make it your own or refuse it.
There is zero delay.
The belt will not wait for you to make up your mind. It does not pause while you consider your options.
Once that box drops off the edge of the belt, it is out of your possession and out of your reach forever.
You cannot climb down into the machinery and get it back. It is gone into the abyss.
That conveyor belt is a highly accurate image for what he describes. Every part of time is successively offered to us.
If we refuse to use it well, it is immediately taken away and the next moment is presented.
And he expands on this finality by noting something very sobering. Even sincere repentance over wasted time does not bring the time back.
That is a hard pill to swallow, especially in a theological framework that emphasizes forgiveness.
Repentance fixes a lot of things.
It restores relationships, it clears the conscience, it reconciles a person to God, but it does not rewind the clock.
No, it does not. If someone lives 70 years unimproved, meaning they lived a long life but did not use it to prepare for eternity, living entirely for their own earthly pleasures.
That time is eternally gone.
All the regret, All the weeping, all the genuine sorrow in the world will not recover a single minute of those 70 years.
God may forgive the wasted time, but he does not refund it.
Only the few remaining moments on the conveyor belt can possibly be claimed.
And once physical death arrives, the opportunity to prepare for eternity is utterly and everlastingly gone.
Edwards makes it clear there is no second chance after death. There is no possibility of obtaining another space in which to prepare.
The probation period ends completely at the grave.
Knowing that time is an irrecoverable resource with a totally unknown expiration date shifts the entire tone of his message.
It really does. It moves from a general theological observation into a very direct, uncomfortable challenge.
We enter the phase of the divine audit and the half-empty glass.
He brings a direct confrontation regarding your past time and demands to know what account you can give to God for it.
This raises an important question for you, the listener. What have you done with the precious talent of time God committed to you?
Edwards grounds this challenge in the very design of human nature. He says God created reasonable souls for endless duration.
That means we are built for eternity. You are not a temporary creature like an animal that simply ceases to exist.
You have an endless conscious eternity before you. And the Westminster Catechism teaches that man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy him forever.
If you are an eternal creature designed to glorify God forever, but you spend your temporary time entirely on temporary things, you are violating your own design.
You are squandering the talent given to you for that specific preparation.
The imagery he uses for aging here is incredibly vivid.
He describes your life as a glass, an hourglass. He tells his audience that for many of them, their glass is more than half run, and there may be but few sands remaining in the top bulb.
He says your sun is past the meridian, past the high point of noon, and perhaps just setting or going into an everlasting eclipse.
He is forcing the listener to visualize the literal draining away of their lifespan. You can almost hear the sand hitting the bottom of the glass.
And he does not let his listeners just sit with a vague sense of guilt or unease.
He breaks down the audit into specific surgical categories that demand thorough examination.
First, he asks them to consider the sum of days. If you calculated every day you have lived, it would be a massive sum.
Thousands upon thousands of days. If you were 70, that is over 25,000 days.
He asks what benefit or good done can you show that is answerable to all that time?
When you look back at that mountain of days, is your life in a great measure empty?
Is there anything of substance, anything of eternal weight to show for all those sunrises and sunsets?
He also targets specific seasons of life. He directly addresses youth.
For those past their younger years, he asks if that entire season was spent in vain.
We often view youth as a time for experimentation, a time to be carefree, a time with an infinite runway.
But Edwards asks a shocking question. Looking back at the frivolity and the wasted energy of those years, would it have been better to be asleep or in a state of non-existence during your youth rather than wasting it so completely?
That is a brutal question. Would it be better to have not existed at all during those years?
He also challenges their use of leisure. He asks how they have spent their freedom from worldly business.
When you were not forced to work for your physical survival, when you were not securing your earthly welfare, what did you do with that freed up capacity?
And finally, he audits holy time. He asks what they have done with the Sabbath days they have enjoyed.
Under his theological framework, the Sabbath is a day specifically set apart from ordinary labor to focus entirely on the eternal state.
He asks how many of those days have come and gone with zero spiritual improvement.
So what does this all mean for us practically? We have this modern concept of killing time.
Right, we scroll on our phones for hours, we binge watch television shows.
We literally try to make time pass faster when we are bored or waiting for something. We invent entire industries designed to distract us from the passing of time.
If Edwards challenges us on how much service we could do for God in a single year or a single day if we push to our utmost, how do we reconcile necessary rest with the terror of finding our past lives empty of good improvement?
Especially when Edwards calls out our use of holy time and Sabbaths, is any moment of relaxation considered wasted sand in the hourglass?
Because living at a level of maximum output constantly sounds like a recipe for immediate burnout.
Well, absolutely. How do we balance this?
Edwards is not against rest. He is against wasting the specific purposes of the time given. Remember, his definition of improving time, using it to the best advantage.
Rest that restores your physical body and your mind so you can continue your labors is a massive advantage.
You cannot function without sleep. You cannot function without mental breaks.
But holy time, like the Sabbath, is designed for a specific type of eternal preparation.
In the Reformed tradition, the Sabbath is supposed to be a delight. It is a foretaste of eternal rest.
It is not just about ceasing physical labor so you can lie on the couch and stare at the ceiling.
Right. It is about reorienting the soul toward its endless duration. It is about worshiping God, studying His Word, and resting in His provision.
If all the wit, capability, and treasure of the universe cannot buy back a single wasted Sabbath or a squandered afternoon of leisure, we must answer to the God who gave us those exact hours.
The audit is meant to wake us up from the lethargy of assuming our leisure time is ours to throw away on mindless distraction.
Our time is a granted talent, and the Master will return to see what we have done with it.
It is a massive reality check. We have walked through this intense cosmic economy Edwards lays out.
Time is the currency of eternity. Its extreme scarcity should drive our urgency, pulling us out of our daily complacency.
Its uncertain end should completely banish our presumption that we always have tomorrow to get things right.
And its irrecoverability should force a ruthless, honest audit of our days right now, while we still have some sand left in the top of the glass.
We spend so much mental energy regretting the years that have already spilled out of the hourglass.
We look at the bottom bulb and we grieve, completely unable to put the sand back up to the top.
But consider this final thought. What if the very next minute you step into after this audio finishes is the specific, irreplaceable moment God has appointed for you to secure your eternal welfare?
What if this next hour is the defining hour of your spiritual state?
You cannot get yesterday back no matter how hard you cry for it, but you possess right now. The box is on the conveyor belt right in front of you.
Will you redeem it? Will you buy it up? Or will you let it fall off the edge forever?
That is the question we all have to answer.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Edwards' sermon. Take a close look at your own hourglass today. We will see you next time on Reformed Thinking.